All right, guys, welcome back to the Celestial Invitational. We've had two matches so far. Kolento winning his 3-2 over Shadowy, and Tom winning his match 3-1 over Chaoshen. I want to remind everyone that you can catch the YouTube VODs of this on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/d2hs. Now that I have my shameless plug out of the way, I also want to say thank you to Temple Storm for allowing us to broadcast on their channel as well and get this to as many viewers as possible. Now we have a really cool matchup next. It's Kolento versus Tom60229, and this is a rematch of the finals at PAX Prime, also known as the Onog series, also known as the Geico series, and just really cool to see these guys going at it again. Really awesome players, and let's see what they are bringing for Kolento. Looks like it's going to be a control warrior, standard combo druid, and what looks to be like a mid-range paladin. So what do you think about Colento's choices here, Kaldi?
It's pretty strong. I really like the warrior. The druid seems strong as well, and the paladin. On top of that, it's just this seems like his go-to matchup. I feel like maybe he was thinking, okay, I'll just win the first series, win the second series, and just nothing to worry about the third series that much. But one noteworthy thing is playing Sylvanas instead of Justicar in mid-range Paladin. That's very unusual, but strong, I guess, against both Druid and a few other things. Not that strong in the control matchups, but now Tom is up next. See what he is bringing.
Yeah, we see Tom on the screen there showing that he's from Taiwan on the first line there, and looks like it's going to be a mid-range Druid with Raptors and the Harrison. Then followed by the mid-range Paladin with Sylvanas and Justicar, and finally going to be an aggressive Shaman. No, just kidding. It's going to be a mid-range Shaman deck with Alakir and Fire Elementals and Zombie Chows, as well as the Tunnel Trug. So kind of like a mid-rangey deck that can kind of burst you down with that Bloodlust and the Doom Hammer. What do you think about that one?
He's got Gormok here. He's got Bran. This is a super weird Shaman deck. Half aggro. It's more aggro than mid-range, I feel, but because there's no Azure Drakes. I know, no.
Yeah, it looks like it's a Battle Cry Shaman deck.
I mean, Gormok, I guess it's a Battle Cry. You could deal 8 damage with Gormok if you have Bran on the board, but
right. I mean, well,
just to see this work.
I imagine you go 8 damage to face, right? I mean, you can't split up the damage from Gormok. You can't.
No, you can't.
Pick two things. So, I mean, that would be pretty imbalanced, right? You go for Gormok with the Bran and just snipe off 2 guys right away, like AOE. But yeah, going to be interesting to see if that Shaman can work. By the way, guys, if you aren't aware, these players had to pick their lineups, but they didn't know who they were playing against when they picked their decks against the certain or pick the decks for the matches that they're going to be playing in. So for example, Tom said, okay, match 1 playing Mage Hunter Rogue, match 2 Druid Paladin Shaman. Didn't know, basically going in blind, and you basically just had to put together a good solid deck against certain matchups. We interviewed Firebat on the first day, and he mentioned, targeting certain clumps of decks. Like, for instance, oftentimes people will pair together Druid and Paladin, which we do see. Both of these players have paired Druid and Paladin together. So interesting to see the kind of strategies that these players are putting together in order to combat certain classes that usually are paired together.
Yeah, this is pretty painful. I really dislike him keeping this feather. It's not the strongest card against Paladin.
Well, he can
generally
go
because
for
of the Aldor, yeah.
He can go for the turn 1 Shredder, which is you can't get Aldored quite that quickly. Yeah, pretty strong overall. Pretty strong hand overall by Tom. Good for Kolento as well. Has a 1/2 into a 2-drop on 3. But yeah, Tom can go turn 1 Shredder into turn 2 Wild Growth into turn 3 Shredder, which is obviously really powerful.
I guess there's also the option of just coining Wild Growth now and going for the Raptor into Shredder, but I like the Shredder better than anything here, going for turn 1 Shredder. But generally it's not that strong against Paladin, and the reason is you don't win by bursting the Paladin down, you win by stopping their tide. This type of Paladin almost plays like a Sue style deck here, so it's about playing a lot of small minis and getting advantages through that, dealing with your... Whereas Sue is more about buffing your own minions, Paladin is more about neutralizing your opponent's minions. But we see a turn 1 Shredder. easy play.
Yeah, the Aldor comes into the hand of Kolento, and now we see Kolento kind of looks like he's a bit sleepy there, wondering what to do here. I imagine it's going to be the Knife Juggler, because even if Tom gets the quote-unquote free trade onto this Zombie Chow, Kolento could snipe off the last health there on the Shredder, with his next coming minion. Do you think he'll play the Aldor, even though even though the Shredder could get sniped off anyway?
I think it's the strongest play unless top decks a one drop. If it top decks a one drop, then I think the second juggler would be the play. But
ooh, gets a
ooh,
patient assassin, which I imagine Tom wants to use right now before it dies to any juggler shenanigans.
I think so. Yeah, you just gotta slam the Shredder and then kill the juggler. But yeah, that puts Tom ahead in my opinion. Kolento does have the True Sliver though, and that's gonna be pretty important now coming into this. Especially, I guess, what type of minion Tom gets out of the second Shredder. If it's going to be a 2-3, he would be decently behind. He has the option, I guess, of Raptor and Hero Power, but what do you think about the Raptor as a card?
His inclusion? Oh, yeah, as a card. I think it's pretty nice. It's a nice anti-aggro card, and we're seeing a lot of aggro, especially with the Shaman. It seems to be what people are, directing their decks toward, that just having a lot of aggression, and it looks like he's just going to take out the Aldo, realizing that his Shredder has enough health as it is and doesn't need to be worrying about that Knife Juggler. So I think that's what he was kind of agonizing over with the Patient Assassin. But yeah, I do like the Raptor. I mean, sometimes you can kind of hedge your bets and put Shades and Raptors in your deck, although you can't really put more than 3 without your overall power suffering a bit. But I think I'm okay with the Raptor. Good to, deal with aggro. A bit better than the Shade, which typically has to trade in early on anyway, so sometimes you don't get that value.
I gotta admit, yeah, I'm impressed by Tom by killing the Aldor. It's better against True Silver, and it's a possibility that Kolento has True Silver. People generally only run one, because people are now so obsessed with the Uldaman and the Shredder and all those good. He gets the Doomsday. That's pretty much perfect.
Well, I mean, I guess it's the same thing as having like a 2-3, right? Or a 3-2, doesn't really matter. In the end, it trades for the Juggler, so one of the less impactful Doomsayers you're ever going to see. Basically, it's as if, Tom got a standard 2-drop, and then Kolento hit the face, and then Tom traded with him, so kind of the same thing here. But, yeah, we got to see a little bit of fireworks with that Doomsayer, I suppose.
An important thing to mention, though, in this case is that Kolento actually hasn't slept. He was tweeting out that he just didn't get any sleep. Ooh. I mean, this is so early in for EU, especially. So I'm just an hour earlier than Kolento, so he must be feeling it now. But yeah, going a whole day without sleeping and a whole night, and now then playing, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, and playing in a very difficult group as well, with Chaoshin and Tom in this group. Not to mention Shadowy, who was, a guy who plays in a lot of those online qualifiers. So, yeah, pretty good so far, at least for him to be able to win that first match. But, obviously his work is cut out for him for these next 2 matches as well. Death Rattle off of Death Rattle's not too bad for Tom. Gets to maybe refill his hand. Let's see if this Knife Juggler hits. Nope, does not hit. And Tom gonna have a decision here. He can use the as the Knife Juggler kind of misses again, but Tom can use the Force of Nature to start clearing up this board. Let's see if he potentially goes for that.
I think he has to. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be another option in my book, at least. He could fully clear. Maybe he's gonna go for the Web Spinner and try to get something out of that, but it just seems inferior here. Yeah, this has to be it.
Yeah, and I mean, he picks up the Savage Roar, but I mean, realistically, you're never going to be able to use that card to be burst on your opponent anyway. So, gonna be this. Let's see where the Knife Juggler or the knife lands. Goes to face, so pretty inconsequential there. And yeah, it's gonna probably just steal this mini bot. It's a nice minion to take.
No question about that. Yeah. So looking at what seems to be the Web Spinner still happening, but Kolento does have Dr. Boom. This seems to be the perfect time for Dr. Boom. Big Game Hunter follow up though. Yeah. So is Tom possibly running over this game? I mean, Kolento having so many weapons. That's the reason. Another reason people don't want to run 2 True Silvers is if you drop both of them, you're in some trouble.
Yeah, this is exactly the reason why. Whereas, sometimes sometimes people replacing the second true silver for second cog hammer, for instance, because, second cog hammer does have that utility that you can always have with your hero power. But in this case, obviously, like you say, the second true silver doing Kolento no favors. He's wondering whether or not he should play. I mean, I imagine he's not wondering about whether he should play Doctor Room. He's wondering whether he should use his true silver on one of these minions or not. Seems pretty bad to use it on either of these minions, but since he have so many weapons, he might go for that. And yeah, it looks like he is going to clear that web spinner, make it a bit difficult for Tom to clear off the boom bots. Basically force a hero power out and prevent something like an Ancient of Lore coming down. And we see the Ancient of Lore. Also Acid Maw. So, huh. Yeah.
You do not know how many times I've been playing my Control Hunter and faced Acid Maw out of a Ram Wrangler. It's the worst feeling, honestly. Things just fall apart. You're ahead, you have your Kel'Thuzad thrown out, you have your Dr. Boom just killed by a hound. Yeah, it's made of my existence, honestly.
It's kind of funny how we got to this point, though, right? Like, why does people just tuning in right now? Wait, why does Tom, or how does Tom have an Acid Maw in his hand playing Druid? What happened? But actually, and then Consecrate, pretty good pickup for Kolento, just mentioning that. And Flame Imp is arguably the best drop he could have gotten out of that Mountain Raptor, but Kolento has an easy answer. But on the back end of that, Tom has basically the best card in the game for refilling your hand and providing a threat on the board. Kolento can't even kill this, and Tom has a decision to either play this or Nasus or not. I imagine you just play it just to get this true silver out of the way.
Yeah, why not? But Kolento really impresses me by going for the true silver last turn, because now he had the option of possibly going for the Coghammer and a minion before that, I guess. Whereas if you go for the Coghammer first and kills the Flame Imp, he doesn't have the option to give something Divine Shield. So this is strong.
Yeah, and even the mana consideration, right? He had the mana to go for the true silver, so just go for that, and you could potentially draw something that could fill up your curve later, like Murloc Knight or Keeper of Oldemont, something like that. And in any case, Tom is in a pretty dominating position, not too worried about dying anytime soon, and at the same time has a pretty full hand plus the board lead. So yeah, looking pretty solid for Tom and pretty desperate for Kolento here.
No question about that. I mean, this is supposed to be the easy matchup here for Kolento, and this is run dry. Tom has had everything he could ever want. Muster is so horrible. He can't clear the Emperor and
he's
just giving up.
He's just going to give up. Doesn't want to show the cards in his deck. And Tom is going to pick up that first game. I guess going over that game once more. I mean, we looked at their early hands and it seemed, pretty even as far as, how good their starts were. Tom obviously having an amazing start with the coin Innervate Shredder into, Wild Growth, and then the Shredder again, as well as those Mountain Raptors to keep the pressure on. Kolento, on the other hand, had, Zombie Chow, Knife Juggler, and Mini Bot, as well as some other cards. But the big story is that the reason why Paladin is favored in that matchup is they're so much more consistent at getting those early leads and then pushing that to a victory later on in the game. Whereas drawing basically going to a stalemate is a victory for the Druid because their deck is so much more dense and able to draw into those bigger threats, which was exactly what we saw.
Yeah, no question here, but going to be going with Paladin versus Warrior now.
Ooh.
I think this is all about playing it correctly. I feel like the Paladin has the edge, but it's very easy to overextend into a brawl.
Right.
Now, Double Armor Smith is strong generally, because it messes up the hero power of Paladin, but with a Zombie Chow and into the Juggler, it's just not as good. Now, no Fiery Winnax yet. Doesn't manage to top deck it here. Is
there
an option to coin Silslang? Okay, he goes for that, but I mean, you want the Fiery Winnax instead.
Yeah, it's going to go for the coin here, which means that Tom knows that he can play this Muster for Battle without any Death Bite coming for another turn. And there's the Justice card. That's a key card in this matchup. Just being able to make two dudes at once. I mean, just the normal Paladin hero power is a nightmare for the Control Warrior to deal with. Having to deal with, basically double that is going to just cause headaches for Kolento, I think.
No question here. The Acolyte of Pain
Ooh,
does come down,
the
and the ultimate's the
keeper right
perfect
on
answer. Yeah.
time. Oh my goodness. The one bad thing is now he's committing a bit much into Brawl, but we're still one turn off of that.
I mean, still, it's only three cards and he's cleared two up so far. So I think, yeah, this couldn't have been better, honestly. Maybe with a true sliver, but Bash comes down. He has the option of a Despot, which I imagine has to be the answer here. You could kill the Uldaman and possibly even the Mustard, but you know it's not the cleanest thing.
Yeah.
Now Tom has the Justicar, whereas Kolento doesn't have the Justicar in his deck, and the Justicar is so strong against particularly Warrior.
I think. Wait, Kolento, I believe, has Justicar in this deck, right? But not the other, not the Paladin.
Yeah, that's true. I believe so.
All right, so I mean, Justicar for the warrior is a way to kind of fend off the Justicar from the paladin, so that even if you're facing two, Silverhand recruits a turn, you don't take as much damage from them, obviously, since you're tanking up. But that's kind of neither here nor there. Kolento has to deal with this mess first, and with this Deathbite hitting the field, do you think Tom commits his Sludge Belcher or just uses the hero power? Because obviously you don't want your Sludge Belcher dying so easily to that Deathbite. Usually it's pretty hard to kill a Sludge Belcher without the second side of the Deathbite, but gonna go super aggressive is Tom, and gonna commit that card, even to a potential brawl.
I kind of like it as if there's no brawl, this is going to be almost game ending. He has so much burst. He has the Justicar to really put on the pressure in the late game. I feel like this is doable, but the monkey coming down from Kolento being an option would
Yeah,
actually even possibly be needed here. I mean, or possibly Bash even.
yeah, Bash, I mean, you're killing either a 3-1 or a 2-2 Zombie Chow, which I guess if you want to stay alive could be a play here. Fierce Monkey obviously being nice for the control one to have in its arsenal so that you don't, just skip turn 3. But yeah, I think it's going to be Armor Smith into Fierce Monkey. Nope, it's going to be double Armor Smith, looks like. And are we going to see an execute? Looks like it's going to be the case, excuse me. Going to be onto the 3-1, I believe, so that we don't get any free kills on these Armor Smiths. But yeah, really defensive play from Kolento, really feeling the heat. And from Tom, yeah, just going to be that Justicar, kill off one of these Armor Smiths because two Armor Smiths on the field just gains way too much armor. And this game is kind of sort of stabilizing, but the threat of that double dude every turn is just it might be too much for Kolento.
I mean, he must be happy though, having saved the Bash now. This is really
Yeah.
you're gonna clear the board with Bash, fire your win next year. But things looking good for Tom though. Still, I mean, one Tyrion or Boom or Leon Hansen, he has everything he could ever want. He also gets two dudes per turn here. The Armor Smith will be helpful, but the monkey comes down.
Yeah, nice clean kill on this Fierce Monkey. It's nice to have that monkey just to provide some board presence, but in this case, not going to be providing too much resistance with that True Silver in play. Tom is kind of laid off the aggression, but I mean, it did have a pretty, good effect on the game. Basically, by being so aggressive, Tom was able to force out and execute. And that's kind of a lesson for, newer players. Even if you aren't finishing out the game, sometimes you can put so much pressure on your opponent that it forces out, a desperate response like we saw.
Yeah, you can't be going for the value play if you're almost dead. But now Kolento 33 health. It's looking to be an exciting game. Should be largely down to how these players
Ooh.
decide to act. But
Wow, that is now suddenly a lot of pressure. And I was gonna say, Kolento had obviously Tom has the Justicar in play, but Kolento had, the more beefy minions to be able to play. So it would be kind of, which can win out, the beefier minions or that superior hero power. But now Kolento just needs a brawl. This is looking dire once again.
he has some health though to stem the tide of all of these 3/3s. And I feel like with Acolyte, it's not the worst draw you could have. I mean, it's no brawl, but it gets him at least one draw and slows things down a little bit. So it's kind of like a shield block with 3 almost. As you do take up 3 damage to kill it. But now
What if you play the Sylvanas and just kind of force Tom to trade into it? Because Tom isn't really close to having lethal, and if you play the Sylvanas first, then Tom might be afraid of a brawl coming out that would guarantee that his board gets cleared, since the Sylvanas obviously would steal the last minion. So, I mean, maybe Tom, he, plays two more dudes and trades two of his 3/3s in, and then maybe you win that 50-50, you grab another 3/3, so you could take a lot of minions off the board. Looks like that's not going to be the play for Kolento, though. Going to go with that Sludge Belcher and Acolyte.
I think it's all in on the brawl here, but I feel like, yeah, Tom would be too good to fall for something like that, because he could just kill whatever 3/3 comes out of the Sylvana if there's a brawl with the True Silver. So it's going for face would have been the correct call there. Now, does use the Quartermaster,
Yeah, it
just
might.
keeps under pressure. They seem strong.
Yeah, it might just. Yeah, it's going to just be a hero power. Oh no, no hero. Just gonna also commit the mini bot to the board. Fills up the entire board, so even more dangerous to brawl. But obviously knows that it's not in Colento's hand yet. Kolento gets two draws to draw into it as they execute, and now the Cruel Taskmaster. Not going to be too much help, and Tom is closing in on lethal actually with such a huge board.
Yeah, one of the worst cards to get here for Kolento. And is Tom possibly running away with this whole series? Now he's 1-0 up, looking to be 2-0 up, looking to get three tries with the Shaman. I mean, the Shaman does have Gormok and Bran, but it's still Shaman. He can run away with Doomhammers and Lava Burst and just kill you.
Yeah, and
So,
especially if it faces against the Control Warrior. I mean, a lot of times Control Warrior is content to let a board full of totems just sit there until you find it necessary to brawl. But Tom does have that Bloodlust, so that could be a surprise. Kolento feeling pressured enough to use another execute here, and yeah, that's going to be his last execute, and he only has one shield slam left too. We saw him use it right away against the Night Juggler.
yeah, I mean, in this case, though, overall, if you're looking at the possibility of the Shaman, I feel like against War he may actually run into trouble because of the brawl. Now, generally, a Shaman could just keep on using Azure Drakes and draw through that, but the Shaman is very aggressive compared to the general mid-range Shaman.
Yeah, definitely. It could be. I mean, it's definitely something to consider as far as next game. I guess we should keep it on this game while we're at it. What could Kolento possibly do here to come back? Hello? Did we lose you?
Yeah. This seems to be
Sorry.
has to be the brawl here. I mean, there's nothing else that can really keep him. I mean, Garen possibly, yeah. I mean, Garen would be an option, but yeah, now it just seems to be too late. Sadly, you can pick him
I
onto
guess.
the
I guess that
Sylvanas, but he
was.
doesn't want to see more show more cards. Yeah.
I guess he had an apt response, right? I asked, "What can he do here?" I guess nothing. So yeah, that's going to be game. Tom is able to take that with the Paladin. That is a pretty favorite matchup as long as you play it correctly, and especially that Justicar is just so much pressure to play against, to go against for that warrior. And it's going to be 2-0, like I just mentioned, and Shaman remaining for Tom. We were talking about it for a little bit there, seeing what his prospects were, but now we're going to see it put to the test. His mid-range kind of battle cry focused Shaman. We're going to see if it can take a game against Kolento's lineup of Warrior, Druid, and Paladin. Going to see the Paladin first, it seems.
I think the Paladin, yeah, is going to be probably the best deck against Shaman. So Kolento starting off strong here, as every single game will matter. It's not the WCS format where you just win the winners match and you're through. It's generally not how like this goes, but throwing away a 3-drop and a 4-drop, it's interesting. I guess the brand is more of a late game card.
Yeah,
Maybe
Bran
he's
is
looking for Dota
absolutely.
3.
Yeah, Bran is definitely more of a late game card, I would surmise. But and the 4-drop might be a bit too slow, especially against the Paladin, which is just so strong. So Tom with amazing start once again. Kolento can kind of mirror it, but obviously he's going to be going second, so going to be a bit behind every single turn from here on out. Was that a second zombie chow? Or are we
Looks to
seeing
be,
his,
yeah,
his
yeah.
hand? Looks like we're not seeing his hand correctly. Maybe a bit of a lag there. So yeah, Tom with a very solid turn 2 play. Unable to play the Tuskar Totemic quite yet, but will be able to play that Tunnel Trog potentially. We'll see what Kolento has to deal with it. We saw the Knife Juggler in hand for him, but just going to be a hero power. Doesn't want to give that card up. Could be something in the future to use with the Muster for Battle. Tom threw away Brand, just gets it right back. The deck says, no, you want this card. Make sure you keep it.
The Tusker Totemic, also known as Doctor 3 here, something that will always give your opponent Totem Golem and it will always give you the totem you least expect.
Yeah.
Generally for me it seems to be the Searing Totem, but yeah, now Taunt Totem comes down, not too bad here.
Yeah, pretty useful. The Healing Totem might have been okay, but it would require Tom to basically go face with his Zombie Chow, which would have gotten traded into potentially with the other Zombie Chow anyway. Tom considering whether or not he wants to take out this 1/1. What do you think here? I think I like controlling the board and just taking that guy out right away.
I think it depends on how the deck is played. I feel like this deck that Tom is playing needs to be a bit more aggressive than the mid-range Shaman. If I was playing mid-range Shaman, I would go for this, no question. But I feel like if this is running Lava Bursts and Doomhammers and etc., not running Azurek, I feel like maybe going to the face is better, but maybe he's looking for something like a Healing Totem next turn to heal his Totem Golem is possible with the Tusker Totemic, but yeah.
Alright, in any case, Kolento does pick up that Zombie Chow, and yeah, it could have been a snipe on that Stoneclaw Totem, so maybe Tom feeling good about his decision. Now he has the option to go for a very strong turn 4 play, regardless of what it is, in whether it's that Shredder or whether it's the Tunnel Trog into the Tuskar Totemic. What do you
Now
think
I want to see the Tuskar, but I will see it in the middle. So if the Flametongue Totem comes down, you can trade into the Juggler, but it's going to be very important where you place the Tuskar Totemic. You can also go for the Trog, so I think that would be what I would want to go for. The other option is just to trade into the Juggler and not be greedy and just go for the Shredder, but then you lose the Totem and you lose the Totem Golem, so I don't know. I think I would rather try to risk it. I mean, Healing Totem would be perfect, Flame Tongue would be good, Totem Golem would be good, Totem would be good, you get the Trog in there as well, so...
Yes, so many things that are just up to a bit of chance here with both the Tuskar Totemic and the knives potentially coming out. So Tom was thinking about the worst case scenario, what could have happened if he decided to go for the Tuskar Totemic and realized it's not really worth that risk and decides to instead play this Shredder, which does dominate the board right now.
Question, Tom, I mean, you always do win one game, so I felt like taking a chance is okay. It's a very small chance, but you could run away with this game. I feel like, yeah, if you have 3 chances, you can get it lucky eventually. But now, what are we going to see? I feel like Sarah will be so much better now.
Ooh, Vitality Totem, like basically the worst. I mean, it is healthy. It does have a lot of health that can't really be cleared too easily, but that's about it. I mean, Kolento is not going to be pressing face at all, and I mean he even has a Zombie Chow on the field if he wanted to heal Tom up, but yeah, I mean just a really poor totem there. I mean I think you would even prefer one of the 4 standard totems.
I think so. Yeah, I mean you could potentially it gets you 2 more damage because now you could trade into the Murloc with the Zombie Chow, but now think about this. If this is going to be happening tomorrow, it's going to be a new Shaman spell and so many new Murlocs. How are you feeling about Finlay Murgleton?
I'm pretty excited about it because of the fact that some hero powers are pretty similar. So I mean maybe we might finally see Control Hunter. Because there's like a 60% chance that you get either the Priest or Warrior hero power, and even like the Druid is up there as well. So it's just so many good options. The only problem is drawing it, of course. As far as this game sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like what I was thinking about. I think first off, I feel like it's potentially playable right now as the Control Hunter, and I've gotten Legend several times with Control Hunter, but I would be very happy with the Paladin one even.
Yeah, absolutely. Paladin's a pretty good hero power, right? And then you pair that with Justicar, and then it's completely broken. In the case, I wonder, just to go back on topic to this game, what do you think Kolento thinks about this deck right now from Tom? Obviously, we started out with a zombie chow, so he was thinking he was mid range, but now he sees those tunnel trucks. So, do you think he's a bit afraid of any burst coming out of Tom?
Probably don't think so. I mean, Tunnel Truck is a strong card even in mid range. I think it's between that one and Zombie Chow. I mean, Tunnel Truck is a bit more aggressive, I feel, but we see Tom is also running the Zombie Chow. But yeah, well played to Tom. I like this trade here into the Belcher. Now we have the Aldor, but the Aldor isn't the strongest on this board. He will need to be coined out. I feel like a quality Stratter might not be too bad here.
Yeah, I mean, Kolento has just so many options right here. It's just picking the correct, or not the correct one, but the most optimal one to finish out this game. Aldor, Cog Hammer would be reasonable. Aldor, Coin Shredder would be reasonable as well. Obviously, like your play with the equality would be nice. But I mean, Kolento might be worried about Neptulon. He might be worried about Doctor Boom, having seen this fire elemental hit the field. So could be worried about something in the future and might want to save that equality for a super rainy day. But looks like he's hovering over it.
Yeah, I think Kolento is so good that he will just see this. Interested in the trade, how he will go about this. If he will actually give the Zombie. I mean, the health of the Shaman doesn't really matter. It's the board state of the Shaman. But to finish off with Finley Miracle, I feel like in Control Hunter also we will have the Mage Hero power be extremely good because you
Wow.
can go Hunter's Mark and Ping. But yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that's actually insane. Just so many possibilities. I guess yeah, you might want to run it in a control deck, especially just because you want to guarantee if you're revolving your deck around it, you want to guarantee that you do draw it. Tyrion comes into the hand of Kolento, gonna immediately reach for that card, and having just seen the Hex use on a lowly piloted shredder, Kolento feels great about playing this on the board.
no question about that. And Bran isn't going to be the
Yep,
strongest here,
gonna be
so we
concede.
see.
Gonna concede is Tom, and gonna be a win for Kolento finally with that Paladin. Going to be bringing the series back up to 1-2, and again the pressure is on Tom to win with this Shaman.
I guess, yeah, we saw him quit almost a little bit early, but I think his idea is okay, I have to play this deck 2 more times, and I don't want to give anything away. So giving Bran away is actually fairly major, I feel. It's not something you see every day in Shaman at all. Now we have the Druid matchup. It's going to be a lot stronger, I feel. For the Shaman, this is probably going to be the toughest one, I feel, for Kolento, but it's gotten so much better now with the Darnassus. He keeps one rock batter, that's going to be definitely for the Darnassus. Double Flame Tongue, not the best. It's more of a late game card, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. Just to get those totems hopping and killing bigger minions. So yeah, not going to be what Tom wants to see right here. Kolento with a decision right now, whether or not to go for the turn 1 shade. It can get pretty big and get some good trades on later. It's going to go for it. Slightly surprisingly, could have waited, maybe gone for a turn 2 Innervate Shredder into turn 3 shade, but strong play nonetheless. Tom, nothing to do, going to just pass. Talking about this matchup, this used to be considered favored for the Shaman back in the olden days, but obviously since then it's Druid has just gotten stronger and stronger and more streamlined, whereas Shaman it just hasn't been able to keep up. So I mean, it could. I'm thinking right now that it's even like Druid has pulled so far ahead that I think even that Druid would be favored right now. What do you think?
I think it's close. I would give a slight edge to the Shaman, but this Shaman is just so unpredictable that it's really hard to tell. I mean, the strong cards are still there in Shaman. We talk about the hacks, we talk about the fire elemental, we talk about the, I guess, the overwhelming amount of totems, because it's all about the AoE, and Druid doesn't have that strong AoE when it comes to killing something with 2 or 3 health. So, but this hand is just vastly stronger for Kolento. It had the better start. Tom started off with an anti-Darnassus hand. There's no Darnassus. The Shades as well. There was no Storm for that. I don't think Tom is running any Storm at all, actually. So it's looking rough for Tom.
Yeah, going to be difficult for him to compete in this game. However, he does have those flame tongue totems, and I mean, Kolento might not clear most of this board. I mean, he kind of has to go out of his way to do so, right? I mean, he really wants to play this shredder, but if he does so, then revealing these shades just to clear out totems might be not the greatest idea. So he could find himself in a bit of trouble to the wrath of these totems. But looks like he's not going to make any play. Going to keep his Shade stealth so that they definitely get a good trade. Interesting play by him, and Tom now is able to kind of play his own Shredder. And yeah, I mean this game not looking the worst for Tom, considering he has those Shades to potentially deal with these, or the Hexes, excuse me, to deal with the Shades if they ever come out.
That is true, but there's no Earthshock, and the Earthshock would be so much cleaner. But now we talk about Kolento, about Tom's last turn. He didn't put the Shredder in the middle. That's always something that annoys me when I see that. I've been, guilty of doing that myself in the past, but now,
To be fair,
no,
it is
yeah.
Shaman, and Shaman likes to put the Death Rattles on the left side so that they can totem hop with their Flame Tongue totem. So that is a different kind of a mentality as well. And say his rightmost minions get cleared, then the totems come out on the right side, and any sort of buffer
Mhm.
minion will be able to buff that. So it's kind of, I think it's a Shaman specific placement here.
That's absolutely true. But now, in this case, though, we have to assume that the 3-2 Tuskato Tamek will not live enough for that to matter. So I would still think it'll be
Mm,
stronger to have the potential to trade
right.
into something like a Belcher. But now we see Kolento, not forgetting anything and putting the Shredder in the middle.
Well, yeah, obviously Kolento doesn't have any sort of tokens that will, appear for his hero power. So it does put it in the middle correctly. Tom now has an interesting situation. I mean, he has an okay trade with a Tarskar Totemic, has the Fire Elemental as well to trade onto the Shade. Also has, he could play something like double Flame Tongue Totem to kill it off, or he can go for the Rock Biter. Just a lot of options here for Tom, but I think probably just going to go for the Fire Elemental, just put the most power on the board, and yeah, he does go for that. Let's see what he gets out of that Shredder. It's going to be a Nitro, pretty good.
Not bad at all here. Wonder if Dr. Boom is going to show up, or it's just going to have to be the Ancient of Lore here, but the Keeper isn't a horrible thing to play. He's going to heal with the Ancient of Lore? That's
No.
so strong.
Oh,
He doesn't, okay.
oh yeah.
I'm a
A
bit
heal
confused
onto the
about the
Shade.
I'm a little bit confused about the reason to attack with the Shade then. It's a little bit
He
confusing to me.
he probably felt like he had a pretty good trade onto that Fire Elemental, and now it's forcing Tom to use not only mana but also a card in order to clear up the 7/1 Shade. So I think he's pretty comfortable with it, and yeah, and even Tom doesn't even deal with it, which could mean a lot of damage coming his way. I mean, Kolento could do something like, if he couldn't clear the board, maybe even silences just to get that extra 7 damage, or extra 8 damage, excuse me, which could be pretty, valuable in the end. Speaking of the combo potential of Kolento.
No question about that here. Yeah, this is looking so strong here for Kolento. He misses with the juggle pretty hard, but how is he going to be dealing with this? I can't imagine him attacking with this Shader. He's kind of looking at being afraid of the storm. I mean,
Yeah, I think he's
I
going
wouldn't
to
blame
trade
him
in
for that.
his juggler and then just swing for 8 to the face, which is it's a lot of damage, especially when you're facing a druid, which has that combo potential at any time.
Hmm. It's absolutely true here. Now we have the
Wow.
Haunted Creeper coming down here, but
This is so painful. I mean, Tom, his only option to clear off this Shade is to Hex it, and it's already gotten massive value. It's cleared a Fire Elemental, and it's hit his face for 8 damage. And to have to Hex after all that, and only has 2 mana remaining after he does so, is just, it's absolutely devastating.
yeah, I mean, this was played on turn one with the Innovate, and it's been paying off greatly here for Kolento.
Yeah. And even these frogs are a threat to, finish out the game with his Savage Roar. So yeah, Tom not looking to be in a great spot. Kolento looks like he's going to go for potentially a double draw here with the Azure Dregs. Yep. And Imagine's going to be
Seems
all
pretty
face here.
strong. Yeah, yeah, no question. One Savage Roar and this should be over, but there's a Bloodlust for Tom though. But this Shaman has not been working out for him at all. Losing its second game in a row here now, looking to go up against the Warrior. Historically, a great matchup for mid-range Shaman, but I feel like this is a weird combination of aggro and mid-range that hasn't been working here for Tom.
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, you mentioned that the Druid might be his best chance. I tend to think that this might be his best chance because he might have a better time gaining the board. Druid obviously is pretty decent at doing that with all of its ramp options. But yeah, I mean, like you say, the Shaman has been struggling. Shaman has been struggling for pretty much everyone in this tournament so far. Kolento we saw was able to win with it earlier, but that was just barely, and it was versus a Mill Rogue. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much trouble the Shaman has been having thus far in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, historically, if we look at the past 6 months now, Shaman has just been the least played class. People just aren't picking up Shaman, but with the Totem Golem and the Trog, there's some hope, I feel, for Shaman. Tuska Totemic on top of that, we have the Thunder Bluff, so that's been doing a lot to try to revive the Shaman. That was a very strong deck before Patron, but when Patron hit, things just started falling apart for Shaman, and also the Shielded Minibob Muster I felt was a big blow to the Shaman machine.
Yeah, especially, I mean, that was the class that was competing for with, I mean, those are the two classes that can make tokens onto the field just with their hero power, right? And Paladin getting those amazing options to be able to compete for or to compete, excuse me, in this meta, and Shaman getting not much at all has just kind of been pretty devastating. We see a Tuskar Totemic wants to get potentially a Flame Tongue Totem to make that Stone Claw a weapon, but doesn't get it, gets the Healing Totem. No kind of crazy totems thus far. The only thing outside the ordinary has been that Vitality, unfortunately. Kolento, and I think this is what I was referring to, right? Typically, Druid has a bit more options. Now Kolento is kind of reaching for a Despite. It's going to clear a totem, or not even going to clear it. He's just going to let it sit. And this gives Tom kind of the green light to keep flooding the board. Even if a Brawl comes out, the Shredder will come back as a 2-drop. Most likely.
No question. The monkey though interests me so much. It's such a cool card here. What do you think about the monkey? Is that something you would play in Warrior?
Yeah, I think that's something that I would include just to have that consistency. Brawl comes out right away. Are there 2 Brawls in this deck?
I think there's only one, if I remember correctly.
All right, so
But this
Kolento,
is so important. I mean, now he's just kind of out of stuff. He gets the. Oof, he's
yeah,
gonna aim that totem. Apparently not.
yeah, pretty good outcome for Kolento, but now he's out of ways to mass clear the board, AoE essentially, unless he has Baron get in. But yeah, this is essentially just Kolento feeling like if I brawl now, then with the options that I have in my hand, I can potentially get back the board in the future. And yeah, going back to that Fierce Monkey question, I feel like it's just a nice 3-drop to play on 3. Sometimes Batch is such a reactive option, right? And to be able to get a minion on the board that can, just do minion-to-minion combat and fight while you set up your Despite, for instance, can be really nice. If your opponent maybe misses their turn 3. It's like if your opponent misses your turn 3 and then you just go, okay, well, I guess I missed my turn 3 as well because I only have answers on turn 3.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a weakness, particularly in Druid, I feel, and Warrior, the turn 3, because you have great turn 4s and great turn 2s, but things just gonna fall apart. But yeah, it seems very comparable to Bash. I think it's a great analogy to make in terms of the Bash. And this type of board, yeah, it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Looking at the execute coming down, it's
Wow.
gonna be, yeah.
We see Kolento using that execute very just willingly on smaller minions there just to compete for the board, compete for tempo. Really interesting to see that. And now I'm not gonna have an easy way to get rid of this fire elemental. Does have a way by using his Oh, okay. Well, that there's that with the big launcher. I was thinking of using the Fire Oryx with the Cruel Taskmaster, but I guess it's a bit cleaner. Just build it up and BGH it. Kolento apparently not afraid of any sort of Neptulon or Doctor Boom, realizing that this deck is geared a bit smaller.
Yeah, I mean, in this sort of matchup, Kolento just realizes, okay, if I get ahead on board, I can definitely run away with this game. If I just sit and let Kolento crawl into this and where he can get all the synergies with the Flame Tongue, for example. Flame Tongue has been dead every single game here for the Shaman.
Mm. Yeah,
He
that's a
just hasn't
really
had the
yeah, that's
yeah.
a really big point. Just Kolento's super aggressive play, using executes on smaller minions, just getting things out on the board, not being afraid of future options, and realizing that the minion to minion combat from his creatures will be kind of like a substitute execute, where you can use those to clear your opponent's board rather than saving anything for a rainy day. And it's working out absolutely amazingly here. Tom has two cards in his hand that are completely useless in that Bloodlust and the Flame Totem, and it's all due to Kolento realizing the value of tempo and shutting down all Tom's options.
Question. So the Trog seems to be one of the worst minions to get here. You can play it on curve with the totem, but I mean, what can Tom do here? He just looks like he's given up already here. And he was 2-0 up, but he's just falling short here with his third deck. Picked Druid and Paladin. Both players have won with Druid and Paladin so far, but yeah, it just seems like Warrior is the stronger third class over
Mm.
the Shaman. But at least Tom will not have to win again with the Shaman later on.
Yeah, he's done today with the shove, and it's not like he's using it for the rest of the day. We've seen a lot of actually reverse all kills. We saw the first two matches of yesterday were for reverse all kills as well. And I mean, that's the part of the reason is why part of the reason is because having to use all 9 decks, it's kind of risky to put 3 very strong decks in the same lineup, because you're not able to use those decks in different lineups and pick up wins elsewhere. So sometimes you see this, you see 2 strong lineups and then a weaker third deck to just hope that you can squeeze out that win, but it's fallen short for many players here.
A second Flame Tongue Totem to add insult to injury here. What can he do? What can he do,
Yeah, I
honestly?
I saw him as he reached for his mouse. I thought he was reaching for the escape key right there. Um,
Ouch.
yeah, so little to do here. Do you know if he runs Lightning Storm? That might be the only thing that gets him back into the game here. But the Shield Maiden hitting the board, that's even something else that can't be cleared by Lightning Storm. And Tom looks like he's gonna start dying pretty quickly here. Typically, you don't see, Control Warrior with Burst, but I mean, plenty of damage here for Kolento to finish out the game in a couple turns, even if these Feral Spirits come out. I mean, he
Yeah,
can.
now it seems to be about like how many turns will Tom last into before he forfeits. But yeah,
He
it's
already.
pretty hard to watch this actually.
Yeah, we already saw the escape just now. He can make a 6/3 Feral Spirit if he wants to. I don't know what that does, but yeah, gonna do it. It's gonna put the 6/3 Feral Spirit just to kind of get in the way. Maybe he can Bloodlust to start clearing up this board and go from there. But like you say, very painful to watch this go on. This is pretty annoying for Kolento, though. To be fair, what do you do here to kind of clear this out? I guess the 2/2 and the Cruel Task and the Armor Smith into the 6/3, and then you clear off the other card, or you could just use your face too, I suppose.
Yeah, the face seems stronger in this case. But
Yep,
yeah, okay.
that's
Tom
gonna be
just
it.
forfeits this one. But I mean, Kolento though going 2-0, leading this group here after no sleep. That's pretty impressive. I think his Chinese fans must be happy.
Yeah, probably going to be the case. I mean, I imagine since Tom is from Taiwan that the Chinese fans might be rooting for Kolento here. But yeah, like you say, he is 2-0 in the group. He is not out of the woods yet, however, because he doesn't have the best overall game score. He did win 3-2 and 3-2, but I mean, obviously going to take a 3-2 win over a loss any day.